Assalamu alaikum dear students. I hope so you all are doing fine. I'm your biology teacher and I'm here with the summary of today's Zoom online lecture. This lecture was from chapter number 18, that is pharmacology. In today's lecture we have discussed about antibiotics and vaccines. So dear students, if you look at the word antibiotics, it is actually a combination of two words. The word anti is actually for against and biotics means living organism. Here the biotics refers to the bacterium. The drugs which are used against bacterium are termed as antibiotics. These are the drugs that kill bacteria or stop the growth of bacteria, and they are used to cure or prevent bacterial infection. Simply, antibiotics are those drugs which are used against bacteria, which kill the bacteria or stop the growth of bacteria. The first antibiotics was penicillin, and it was discovered by Alexander Fleming from a mold culture, from a penicillium, from a fungi, and he called it penicillin. Nowadays there are more than 100 different types of antibiotics, and the most prescribed medication is actually antibiotics. Depending upon their mode of action, there are two types of antibiotics. Some are termed as bactericidal, while some are termed as bacteriostatic. Bactericidal antibiotics are those antibiotics which kill the bacteria. If you look at the word bactericidal, here the suffix cidal is used. C-I-D-A-L, cidal. Cidal is a suffix which means killing. So whenever cidal is used with some word, it means killing. Bactericidal means killing bacteria. So those drugs, those chemicals or those antibiotics which are used for the killing of bacteria, they are termed as bactericidal antibiotic. Now look at the word bacteriostatic. Here static shows to stop the growth. So those antibiotics which stop the growth of bacteria are termed as bacteriostatic antibiotic because they stop the growth of bacteria. They inhibit the bacteria. They inhibit the reproduction of bacteria. So that's why they are termed as bacteriostatic antibiotics. Normally, bactericidal antibiotics are preferred. The reason is because they directly kill the bacteria, and that's why they cure a disease at a faster rate, right? So that's why normally doctor prescribe bactericidal antibiotics. But if a bacteriostatic antibiotic is used, then the time of the therapy must be enough so that the WBC can kill that bacterium or that germ. Because bacteriostatic antibiotics do not kill the bacteria, they just stop the growth of bacteria, and still the bacteria is living. So the WBC needs to kill that bacteria. That's why whenever using a bacteriostatic antibiotic, the time of therapy must be enough so that the WBC can kill that bacteria. Okay, depending upon the chemical structure, depending upon the chemical composition, there are different categories of antibiotics, some of which are sulfonamides, tetracycline, and cephalosporin. Sulfonamide antibiotics are those antibiotics which contain sulfonamide group in their chemical structure. As you can see in the diagram here, sulfur and amine group is present, which is termed as sulfonamide group. So those antibiotics which have sulfonamide group in their chemical structure, they are termed as sulfonamide antibiotic. They are simply termed as sulfur drugs, and they are synthetic drugs. They are not derived from some natural bacterium or fungi. They are synthetic antibiotics, and these antibiotics are bacteriostatic in action. They stop the growth of bacteria, and they inhibit the synthesis of folic acid in bacteria. This folic acid is required for the replication of DNA, and when bacteria will not have any folic acid, the bacteria will be unable to replicate or to form its copy or to reproduce. That's why the bacterial growth is stopped here. They are used to treat pneumonia and UTIs, urinary tract infection. Coming toward the next category of antibiotic, which are termed as tetracycline. If you look at the word tetracycline, it is actually a combination of two words. Tetra means four, and cycline actually means cyclic structure, ring-like structure. So look at the diagram. You can see that in this chemical formula, four ring-like structures are present. Tetracycline are known as tetracycline because in their chemical structure they have four rings like structure, and they are natural antibiotics which are derived from Streptomyces bacteria. They are bacteriostatic in action because they stop the growth of bacteria. They inhibit the bacterial protein synthesis. As a result, the bacteria is unable to reproduce. They are used in the treatment of infections of the respiratory tract, sinuses, middle ear, urinary tract infection, skin infection, and intestine infection. The next category is termed as cephalosporin. They are also natural antibiotics which are derived from Cephalosporium, a type of fungus. And they are bactericidal in action because they kill the bacteria. They destroy the cell wall of bacteria, and in this way they can kill a bacterium. They are used to treat pneumonia, strep throat, tonsillitis, which is inflammation of tonsils, bronchitis, which is inflammation of bronchi, skin infection, gonorrhea, urinary tract infection, etc. Okay, now coming toward vaccines. Vaccines are those drugs which produce immunity against a disease. These vaccines are basically suspension of killed or harmless germs or component of germs, and they produce immunity against a disease by stimulating the production of antibodies. Vaccines actually have that microorganism or but in kill form or inactive form, or sometimes only derivative of microorganism. But these microorganisms in our body can start the production of antibodies. As a result, they can immunize someone, they can immunize a person, they can increase the immunity of a person. Whenever vaccine enters the blood, as it is having the microorganism or derivative of the microorganism but inactive or killed form, so the WBCs or immune system actually recognize this microorganism as a real disease causing germ and start its response against it. The WBCs start producing antibodies against the vaccine, and these antibodies remain in the blood. So if in future the real disease causing germs enter the blood, the already present antibodies attack and kill them. In this way, the vaccine actually prepare the body for any kind of germ attack. So in future, whenever a real disease causing germ will enter the body will already be prepared for that germ and will directly kill that germ. The vaccine was actually first discovered by Edward Jenner, and the first vaccine was for smallpox disease, and it was formed from the cowpox pus. Edward Jenner during 1770s inoculated an 8-year-old boy with cowpox pus. Edward Jenner actually heard that milkmaid never gets smallpox disease. Smallpox was very contagious disease at that time and a very disfiguring disease. At that time it was spread widely. So Edward Jenner, when heard that milkmaid never get smallpox disease just because they are already infected by cowpox, which have very mild effect in humans. So Edward Jenner get an idea from this, and Edward Jenner inoculated an 8-year-old boy with cowpox pus. This cowpox pus was taken from a milkmaid hand. The boy suffered from the cowpox, but as it was having a very mild effect, so soon the boy recovered from it. After 6 weeks, almost after 2 months, Jenner injected the boy with real smallpox germs taken from smallpox pus. So the boy did not get smallpox because he was already immunized to the smallpox. He did not get smallpox, he survived, and in this way, a smallpox vaccine was formed. Jenner claimed that actually the boy get immunized to the smallpox with the help of cowpox virus. So in this way, the smallpox vaccine was formed from cowpox pus. So the first vaccination was formed in this way by Edward Jenner, and this vaccine was for smallpox. Okay, now coming toward the EPI. EPI actually stands for Expanded Program on Immunization. It is actually a program established by the government of Pakistan in 1978, and the actual purpose of the EPI is actually to vaccinate children, the newly born babies up to 11 months against 9 diseases, that is polio, tetanus, measles, diphtheria, whooping cough, hepatitis B, pneumonia, meningitis, and tuberculosis. The purpose of EPI is actually to provide immunization to the remote areas as well, and it is also working for different diseases like polio, etc. So thank you so much. This was all about today's lecture.